Welcome into 5 Wide Fantasy. Today we're talking week 1 of the NFL season with some of my favorite players to be starting in your fantasy lineup at quarterback, at wide receiver, at tight end, at running back. Everywhere we'll be looking at today and building a DFS lineup on our platform, OwnersBox. If you guys enjoyed today's video, be sure to let me know, hit that subscribe button because we'll be having content to you throughout the week and even more in depth on my must start and sit players at every position. But before we get to the video and get to these selections, we're entering today's contest, and maybe we'll put up for you guys in a second here. One special entrant actually will win 2 tickets to the Super Bowl. They'll also win flight and accommodations. And it's not just the win. It's not to the winner of the contest. It's for any one person that enters this contest. There's plenty of entries up for grabs. You can enter up to 150 times. An entry is just $2, and there's still a money prize for the winner of the contest. That's where we're going to be building this thing out. It's for the Sunday only slate on OwnersBox. So let's get into it here. Format on OwnersBox is actually super flex. So you have your quarterback spots, you have 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, tight end, 2 flex, and super flex. There's a lot of players to build out in this lineup with $50,000 in budget. We'll start with the quarterback position, and a lot of you guys checking out this video probably want to know what quarterbacks could I play that are off the wire, what quarterbacks did I play that if I maybe drafted 2 guys, who should I start? And for me, there's those weekly starts, the Lamar Jacksons, the Jalen Hurts, the Justin Fields, the Herberts, Burrows. All those guys are guys you're never really going to consider sitting. But the ones you should be considering to start potentially this week, there are a few that are going to provide you value. I want to make sure I organize by salary here. That are going to provide you value based on their matchup, and some that won't. Kirk Cousins, a guy I'm a little bit worried about with the matchup against Tampa Bay. But other players that I do like this week, Matthew Stafford. Seattle was a pretty middling pass defense last year. You guys will love, if you haven't been paying attention to the channel during the regular season, I run through wide receiver start and sits. I look at every single game, and we got grades from PFF. We have grades from Football Outsiders. We have where these teams ranked in fantasy points allowed to each of the positions, and we go through. But I know that Stafford is in a pretty decent matchup here against Seattle. They're a mediocre pass defense, and for this Rams team, they're going to give up a ton of points. Their defense is terrible. Challenge for you guys. Name more than one player on the defense for the Rams that isn't Aaron Donald. Let's hear it in the comments. So I like what this team can potentially do offensively because of how poor their defense will be. They'll be in a lot of trailing game scripts, high passing volume with Stafford and Kupp. That's a huge target for me today. So I'm going to just start there. Stafford and Kupp is a great stack, I think, in week 1, and one you could confidently play. Some other potential plays at the quarterback position. I think Derek Carr, this will be really tough for the New Orleans to run the ball against the Titans front. They have an excellent front 4. May need to lean on the pass more. Derek Carr wouldn't be a bad start for you at all. Sam Howell will probably be a popular one for people against this Arizona Cardinals team that is lacking a lot of talent on defense. I wouldn't have a problem if you wanted to play there because I think the Cardinals will lack a pass rush, which will be really helpful for the Commanders who really struggle on the offensive line. Baker Mayfield wouldn't be a terrible play. The Vikings defense is going to probably, arguably, it could be worse than last year. Baker's going to deal with the blitz a little bit that he'll have to manage, but not a bad start there. And then otherwise, we have some inexperience with Bryce Young and CJ Stroud in some matchups that I don't completely respect the pass defenses, so they could put something together, and especially if they use their legs a little bit, which what Stroud was doing in the preseason. So for any of you guys in 2 QB leagues, maybe you're considering him. Jordan Love against Chicago definitely could be someone I would play in a DFS lineup as well. So he's definitely under consideration. But what I am going to go with, because I do think there's a good little opportunity here for this Bucs team to be able to put the ball in the air. Where are you, Baker Mayfield? How did I just lose him here? We just talked about him. Stafford. There he is. In a match with Minnesota, I think they'll still be able to move the ball through the air well. And Minnesota is still pretty solid against the run. So I'm going to go with him, and I'm going to get stacks for both of these guys. And for me, that's Chris Godwin. I think it'll be a reliable target for Mayfield with this offensive line. And then Kupp has got to be in my lineup. I think he's going to have a monstrous season when it comes to targets, and that will definitely start in week 1. Let's go now to the running back position. And I know from when I peeked at this a little bit earlier that there were some advantageous players at the bottom. We just got some massive news today, actually, of Jeff Wilson heading on the IR and his season being a little bit in doubt. It doesn't look like he's going to return very soon at all. That makes Raheem Mostert a really interesting start because the Chargers' run defense is brutal and they did nothing. Maybe the only change they really made in the front 7 was Eric Kendricks, and they're banged up at the D tackle spots with Sebastian Joseph Day and Austin Johnson. Chargers will continue to be a poor run defense. I can guarantee it. Their focus is stopping the pass, and I think they will struggle against the run. I'm going to plug Mostert in because now that Wilson's gone, he's the clear guy in my mind to score those rushing touchdowns for this team, not Devon Achane. He's a little bit too undersized in my mind. So that's definitely a target for me there. In terms of, I want to check out some of these top options as well. Joe Mixon in a matchup with Cleveland. Cleveland was brutal against the run last year, and Mixon gets some improvements on the offensive line. Definitely don't mind that. We also have, James Conner will be one that might be tough to play against this Commanders defense. I do like Conner this season, but week 1 is a really tough matchup. The Commanders are really good against the run. What else do we have here? I want to go a little bit lower here to show you guys some potential spots as well. Zach Charbonnet is pretty underpriced with Ken Walker missing some time to start the preseason. If you want to go with a Deion Jackson or Zach Moss, they're down here as well. So those are some potential really low-priced options to go to. Kenny Gainwell, he's definitely mispriced on the platform. And Kondre Miller is someone you might want to might think about because of Kamara's absence. But again, the Titans are too tough of a matchup. But I'm going to play Gainwell because the more I look into Gainwell's finish to last year, he's really relied upon in the postseason. They got him the ball for some touchdown opportunities last year. They still, I don't think Rashad Penny's quite where they want him to be. And then DeAndre Swift is a player that really his biggest role is in the receiving game, and that's not a huge part of this Eagles offense is getting the ball to their backs. I think Gainwell might be a sneaky value in a matchup with this Patriots team that I would expect them to handle pretty well and be in a positive game script to run the football too. So I'll add him there. And then we have now 2 flex spots and a tight end. Let's look at tight end briefly. Tight end, I think, there's a lot of potential here. I think there's a lot of upside. A guy like Greg Dulcich in the matchup with Vegas, he's in a position where they're without KJ Hamler, they're without Jerry Jeudy, they're without Tim Patrick. So there's a clear path here for Dulcich to be used in a new offense, and he was pretty solid last year in terms of maybe the lone bright spot for this Broncos offense. So he's one to consider potentially as well. The Patriots are going to run a lot of 2 tight end sets. Hunter Henry will be the guy on the field a ton for the Patriots. He's a touchdown option, and really, if I get into the weeds with these tight ends, I'm looking for someone that's going to score some touchdowns. He's proven to be able to do that. Luke Musgrave, the Packers have really loved the rookie so far in the preseason. Hayden Hurst, if those injuries from DJ Chark, Terrace Marshall, Laviska Shenault are still there, he could have a potential role. I am going to go with, I kind of talked myself into Henry because, again, the touchdowns is what we're looking for if we're looking to start one of these bottom-tier tight ends, so I'll go with him. And we got 2 flex spots. One player I did not really touch on is Samaje Perine. When I look at the opportunities for this Broncos team in a good matchup, they get the Raiders, who the roster overall doesn't look very difficult to handle. And I do think with the way the receiver room has gone with the injuries, and then as well with what you look at, what they added with Ben Powers and Mike McGlinchey in the offseason on the offensive line, I think they're going to be focused on running the ball, and they pass to their backs a ton. Joe Lombardi was with the Chargers last year, comes back to work with Peyton in Denver. He targeted running backs 178 times last year. That was the most in the NFL by a significant margin. And Perine really carved a nice rollout in Cincinnati, was a solid pass catcher for him. And with Javonte Williams coming off the ACL surgery, I think it's going to be a pretty even split, and Perine might even get some more work than him in the receiving game. So I like the upside and the opportunity, the floor that Perine could probably provide us here. Last spot. So we got $5,900 left in total salary. So I got some options between J.K. Dobbins, Najee Harris, Chris Olave sticks out. Again, the Titans will be great against the run. I don't think they'll be good against the pass. He's pretty easy for me. Brandon Ayuk, Javonte Williams are here, Christian Kirk. Yeah, I think we'll go. I'll go with Chris Olave. Is that? Yeah, Jamal Williams is priced up here as well. I'll go with Chris Olave. I like the matchup against this Titans secondary. So $100 left. But again, these are some of the guys I like. We get into some of these deeper ones if you guys even want some options that are maybe farther down below, and some guys you might truly be considering if you start or sit. Jahan Dotson, if Terry McLaurin misses time, I definitely really like. We have Nico Collins against a Baltimore secondary is a little banged up, a little bit more risky of a play, but could be something you might consider. Elijah Moore is very underpriced on the platform as well. I think they try to get him the ball in more short yardage and let him work in space. He could be a potential option for you this week as well. I think there was someone, Zay Flowers is really underpriced, 3,800 or 3,900. That's definitely one you could go to against this Houston defense. But for this team, we got our two stacks, Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, and then we have Baker Mayfield and Chris Godwin. And then we have our running backs, Raheem Mostert and Kenny Gainwell, playing off of two guys I think are at a low price and have some touchdown opportunities in this offense. And then we have Hunter Henry at the tight end spot, paired with our two flexes in Samaje Perine and Chris Olave. So be sure when you're building your lineups on the platform, target those stacks, look for touchdown opportunities, and we're just trying, obviously, it's a 1 week season, right? We're maximizing what our total output is, because if we're not at the top of the board here, then it doesn't really matter how low we are. If we're not in the money, we're not in the money. But anyways, again, guys, I'll include the link to sign up at OwnersBox down in the description. This particular contest, there's one lucky person just by entry. You don't have to win. You could win 2 tickets to the Super Bowl, flight, accommodations, all taken care of by us here at OwnersBox. If you guys join the contest, I greatly appreciate it. It's one of the best ways to support us and the channel. There's also plenty of more contests for week 1, including the 200K contest for Sunday as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. We will see you on the next one.